What is up, everybody? It's your boy Doody back again with another video, and this time we're taking a look at our boy DSP's daily rap video after a day that was just full of nothing but disasters, crash outs, and of course, someone to blame for why the business is failing, and that person is YouTube. That's right, you don't know what's going on. Apparently our boy Phil had a difficult time yesterday with his YouTube dents talking or being able to talk. Apparently there was some bug or something that happened with the YouTube chat, where apparently you really couldn't conversate unless you were putting some type of foreign foreign language or foreign alphabet or something in your message. That would be the only way it would go through, and apparently Phil didn't notice that until the end of the stream. And sadly, the Dens did not come out and throw, shekels at Phil's feet. And that upset him, mostly in the night stream. It was so bad that our boy Phil decided to wage quit Indie Night because he knew no one would cough that up, and this was just a easy excuse for him. And sadly, that did not work out for Phil. He only made 55 bucks. That's bad when our boy Phil's only making $55 on the stream. Oh my lord. All right, so let's see what he has to say. By the way, this one was like a 12-minute rant. I cut it back a little bit. I sped it up. I got it down to almost 9 minutes. So, the 2 or 3 minutes at the end are mostly him talking about today, which no one cares about. But let's focus on him ranting and raving about YouTube ruining the business.
DSP here, and welcome to the Daily Wrap for what was Wednesday, the 25th of February, 2026. A day that didn't go as planned and had nothing to do with me, had everything to do with YouTube and technical problems. Kind of upsetting when you have a set day with a set schedule and stuff lined up that people are interested in, and then it gets screwed up. I tried to do the best I could out of that. I think we actually did have some good fun, and I'm actually going to show you the stuff that we were doing in place. Let's talk all about it. So first off, today, in the morning, we started off with a Level 1 podcast. It's actually the final podcast of the week for me because we have 2 days of brand new releases, and I want to play as much of those as possible. Therefore, we're just going to do DSP morning shows for the next couple of days that are going to be on the shorter side, okay? So today's podcast had one major focus, talking about the history of Xbox as a console game manufacturer and console, provider and seller. Basically, its history in console gaming and how we just had this big issue. Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond now leaving the company. What I did is I talked about everything leading up to them becoming, the heads of Xbox, and then talking about what they actually did in their time that they were there. I liked it. It took about an hour to get through all of it. And at the end, I gave my opinions on what I think, how they did, and also how I think the future is going to go with Xbox. People who are watching it seem to like it. I hope that you will. I did put some effort into doing all that research and understanding what actually was going on there and, giving my opinion. So something a little different. Certainly a big segment over an hour of the podcast was about that.
All right, I'm going to stop there, folks, because I did clip it. I clipped 25 minutes of it. It went on for like an hour. Of course, the first, I would say 25 minutes were him just ranting about, how the history of Xbox, I guess. That's what it was. And then, of course, the remaining 30 minutes was him just complaining, bitching how Xbox ruined his business and how they ruin gaming for content creators. Of course, it always had to center around him. And of course he gave his spiel about how it hurt him. It was just nonsense, okay? And what he ended up doing again is he went to either ChatGPT and asked for a summary, or of course his favorite Twitter, and looked up Microsoft history or Xbox history and just read some bullet points. That's essentially all he did. Didn't really give any insight, didn't talk about how if you actually look in the Xbox a little bit more, the one thing that Phil fails to realize is Microsoft is a software company. At its heart, it's simply a software company. And there was a little notation about a decade ago where they did talk about focusing more on software and getting kind of away from console, Phil. And of course, you didn't research that or bother knowing that. And it would make sense being that Microsoft, Phil, is a software company. So maybe the plan is, or always was, ultimately to move away from console gaming and be more of a platform or a studio, very similar to Steam or to Valve or to, who's the one, like the Blizzard Activision, where you would create a store, you go there and you buy games directly from them. Maybe that's more profitable. And you got to understand, Phil, that currently and always Xbox One, Xbox 360, and the original Xbox and the Xbox Series X were always sold at a loss. They did not make any money off of those systems. So again, hardware really isn't profitable for Xbox. So any company worth the salt is going to move away. They're going to move away and try to make money. So they probably more than likely made the business decision that it was more profitable to become a software company than actually to become a gaming company, okay? Or a console company. But we didn't get any of that from Phil. We just got the very high level summary review of Xbox. Now, the best part of it, and the part I clipped, was the last 25 minutes, where, of course, it's just him spazzing out and talking about his business and how it impacted him, right? Which is always the funny part. It also turned into corpos are bad. That's essentially what it turned out. It turned out with Phil just dunking on Phil Spencer, blaming him for Sarah Bond, blaming him for everything, and how he's a corporate dude, he's a rich shill. Your normal standard shit that we've heard 1,000 times about Phil. We all know that Phil despises anyone that has more money than him. Not just rich people, because some people think that Phil just dislikes rich people. No. It's not about rich or class or whatever. It's not that. Phil despises anyone that makes a penny more than he does. Literally, he does. And it doesn't matter who it is. That's why he hates PewDiePie. That's why he hates Markiplier. That's why he hates most YouTubers that make more money than him. That's why he doesn't go around, say, dumping on maybe Wings or, in his eyes, LTG or whatever, because he thinks that he makes more money than them. You know what I mean? As it relates to financial situations, you know what I mean? But anyone making more money than him, they must be greedy. They must have stolen something. They must have done something criminal, in Phil's eyes. When the man literally just sits there and rattles a cup and manipulates some mentally challenged people into giving him money. But, that's okay. But running a corporation to earn money is a problem in Phil's eyes. Anyway, the clip is out there if you want to watch it. It's just insanity from Phil. And the lovely part is I think he made like $40. He made like $40 off of the podcast, so no one really cared. The chat wasn't talking yet again. He blamed YouTube, but I think mainly what it was just no one gave a shit. No one really gave a shit. No one wanted to hear the 20th time or the 30th time Phil wanted to bitch about Phil Spencer. It's just like when he goes off about the Cannon brothers. No one gives a shit except for detractors because they like clipping his nonsense and making fun of him. But literally no one in this chat cares. Maybe, I don't know, Jack Raxter might care. But other than that, no one else does. Him and Kevin Bernstein, maybe. Who the fuck knows? All right, let's keep going because I've been rambling for like 5 minutes about this.
But I really enjoy doing it. I would like to do more in-depth segments on the show like that as more game news happens, okay? So please give it a look. If you didn't see the podcast today, I think you'll enjoy the segment about the history of Xbox and Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond leaving the company, okay? Then after that, we jumped into Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, but this is where everything went awry today. So as I begin to swap over from the podcast to Dragon Quest VII, YouTube chat goes completely ape. And what I mean by that is all of a sudden, no one's typing. And I said, guys, are you there? Like, why is no one talking in YouTube chat? And then all of a sudden, all I start seeing coming through are emotes. And that's it. I'm like, why are only emotes coming through? So listen to this. Someone who works for YouTube, in all of their intelligence and wisdom, these are Ivy League graduate level people.
First, I want to wait. First, I want to okay, wait, Phil. This isn't a mom and pop store selling, sandwiches, okay? It's not one person. I'm pretty sure it's a team of probably hundreds that are working on something. And again, he's just speculating. He knows none of this. Because YouTube, when there's a problem with YouTube, they do not tell you what happened, what they did to remediate, nothing. At the very most, you might get something like there's a server issue. And then when they get it back up and running, they'll let you know, yep, everything's good to go. A fix should be rolling out in 20 minutes or an hour. That's the most you get from YouTube. He literally is trying to make up shit that YouTube said one person flipped the switch and screwed everything up. Again, he's just such a fucking idiot. He's just such an idiot. And again, he wants to make YouTube sound incompetent. Right. A multi-billion-dollar corporation that's owned by Google is having one person run some type of test or implement some program or something. You're an idiot, Phil. You're fucking an idiot. I'm guessing it's probably several hundred people coordinating together, working on something, and something just went wrong. If you work for a corporation, Phil, you would know this. You would know this, trust me. I've worked for multiple corporations in the past where we've had hundreds of people throughout different departments working on something. And because maybe there wasn't proper communication or just something didn't work right, something failed. And it was identified and the team worked together to resolve the issue. That's a very common thing that occurs, Phil. This isn't one person deciding to just go rogue and fuck up an entire site. It doesn't work that way. He's such a fucking moron, man. I can't stand it when he acts like this. Really. Because he wants to justify his bitching. Bro, it happened. It happens every so often. But as in a whole, it rarely happens with YouTube. You know, like it rarely happens where you have, multiple times in a week or in a month where you can't stream, you can't upload files. You don't get it. It rarely happens. And when it does happen, yeah, it's a fucking inconvenience, but you move the fuck on. But because you're so desperate for every penny and every dollar, you literally pick up your fucking dents by the ankles and shake them for every quarter. Because your chat wasn't working properly yesterday, you had a fucking meltdown. And that's insane. One day, Phil, and you literally have a meltdown because you can't sit there and e-bag for money. Good God, man. Like, start saving money. How about that, Phil? You know what I mean? There's something called contingency planning. Where if there's a problem, where you sit down for a while and you try to think of all the potential issues that might occur, pop up, right? And you do something where you plan, okay? Maybe create a contingency fund for those days where, the system is down or you can't stream. You'll be okay because you have money saved up in the corner that you can allocate for that day because you couldn't stream or whatever, okay? It's not hard, okay, Phil? And you don't have to tie yourself up into pretzels and yell and scream and have a meltdown. Today I'm going to be streaming at 9 o'clock. I'm trying to get this video done because I'm going a little long here. But I'm going to be streaming today, brother. And we're gonna watch your night stream. We're going to watch you melting down because you got $55 because, again, YouTube ruined your business. Fuck off, bro. Good God, man. And again, this is partly your fault because you failed to plan. Again, if you if you had a little money set aside for days like this, you would be okay. Okay? Again, Phil, rainy day fun. Jeez. All right. I'm sorry. I'm passionate about this because I hate people that blame other people for their problems. Like, stop bitching. Just take care of it. Again, this isn't something like YouTube said, well, you know what, DSP, we don't want you on our platform anymore. We're banning and removing you, and we're reaching out to Kick and Twitch and telling them not to platform you. It's not something like that, Phil. It's simply your chat wasn't working, okay? That's all it was. You were still able to stream. You were still able to get donations. You were still able to get your PayPal tips. And you were still able to beg. You just didn't get the money you wanted.
Okay. Turned on some kind of an AI moderating algorithm tool that made it that anything that was typed into a YouTube chat in English was auto-modded and blocked from showing up in the chat. You didn't know it because it didn't tell you, and it was only English. You could type in French, Spanish, Japanese, Portuguese, it all worked. Only English was moderated.
You are making that assumption, Phil, because people were able to chat and put that in there. There is nowhere where that actually happened. Could have been that something got fucked up in QC or something got implemented? Yes. But you sitting here trying to state it as fact is bullshit. There's nothing out there that actually says this. That says this because, again, YouTube doesn't go out there publishing the shit that happened. They don't. They usually tell you there's a problem, and they give you an ETA when they think it's going to be fixed. And when it's fixed, they let you know when it's fixed. And that's the extent of it. To the point, Phil, where they rarely tell you where you fuck up and they give you a channel strike or something like that. They give you a very generic message like, you broke terms of service. And that's it. And they never tell you specifics. You've bitched about that before. But yet you want to fucking claim that YouTube came out and told you specifically what was going on with your chat and why it broke. They told you one person, Habib in India, flipped the switch and fucked everything up. Is that what you're saying, Phil? Good God. You know what? I'm stopping here because I'm getting annoyed. The rest of this is just him bitching about the night stream, not making any money, $55. And, we'll talk about that today on the podcast. I'll be streaming today at 9 o'clock. If you got nothing better to do, come hang out. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.